What up, Bugles? I want to welcome you to this video and to our Comics Bugle channel, your go-to spot for everything omnibus and oversized. Have you ever wondered what adult-style stories starring the heroes of our childhood cartoons would look like? One such vision comes in today's book. Oh yes, Scooby Apocalypse Omnibus. The cover price is 125 USD and the book has 920 pages. This omnibus collects the entire Scooby Apocalypse series, which means complete saga, all 36 issues in a single book. The front cover showcases the main heroes of the story, and even at the first glance, it's obvious these aren't not the same versions we grew up watching on Saturday morning. Just look at them. Fred as a tattooed muscle-bound fighter, Daphne wielding a sniper rifle, Velma as a serious scientist, Shaggy reimagined as a hipster, and Scooby with cybernetic implants. All of it promises a genuinely fresh take on this beloved classic. The back cover gives us another look at the central cast, and once again makes it clear that we are in for a grittier tale than you would ever expect from the Scooby-Doo IP. Daphne's blood-splattered face says it all. About this art, we get a short story synopsis, plus the names of the creators who brought this series to life. Among them is none other than the legendary Jim Lee, listed as the creative mind behind this run. We will circle back to that later in this video. The spine pops up in striking green tone, with a small Scooby illustration at the very top and monsters lurking at the bottom, while the omnibus title and logo sit right in the middle. Under the dust jacket, the boards feature their own distinct artwork on the front and back, separated by a spine design nearly identical to the one on the dust jacket, minus the small Scooby illustration at the top. The front boards show the full Mr. Ink crew in a tense, claustrophobic setting under the looming threat of a strange creature. The backboards is lurid with action, with the whole team locked in a battle against monstrous enemies. Opening the book, we are greeted with an ominous opening page, followed by the credit page listing all the talented creators who contributed to the series. Adorned with another dynamic illustration. Next up comes the table of contents, with page numbers neatly guiding you to each chapter. And from there, we dive straight into the story itself. When I was a kid, there was nothing better than waking up on a Saturday morning, grabbing a breakfast, and diving straight into cartoons. Batman the Animated Series, Spider Man, Gargoyles, and of course, Scooby-Doo. That mix of mystery, goofy comedy, and just enough spookiness to keep you hooked. It was perfect. So, few years ago, when DC announced they were doing a mature, modern, post-apocalyptic take on Scooby-Doo, I was curious. And honestly, I was hooked from the very first issue. At its core, Scooby Apocalypse takes the Mr. Ink gang, the Scooby, Shaggy, Velma, Daphne, and Fred we all know, and throws them into a very different kind of adventure. Instead of chasing people in rubber masks, they are fighting for survival in a full-on apocalypse. A nanite plague has transformed most of the human population into monstrous creatures, and the gang is stuck right into the middle of it. Right away, you can tell this isn't your childhood Scooby Doo. The tone is darker, the stakes are higher, and the characters are more layered than even before. And while that could have gone horribly wrong, I think the creative team pulled it off in a way that still feels true to the core of these characters. So let's break it down. Wilma's reimagined here as a scientist, brilliant but socially awkward. And crucially, she's directly tied to the cause of the apocalypse. She was part of the project that unleashed the nanites. That's a huge shift, and it puts her right at the heart of the story's central conflict. Shaggy is no longer the total coward. He's more of a hipster, working as an animal trainer before the outbreak, which explains his bond with Scooby. And speaking of Scooby, he's not just the goofy Great Dane anymore. He's one of several genetically altered smart dogs. He's got a special wizard that helps him communicate, which adds both comedy and emotional depth. Daphne and Fred, they are maybe the most interesting transformation. Daphne's no longer just damsel in distress. She's a hardnet, tough as nail TV journalist who's seen her career fall apart, and now she's out for answers. Fred is her loyal cameraman, hopelessly in love with her but constantly living in her shadow. Their dynamic gives the story some of its most emotional moments. What makes Scooby Apocalypse click is that it takes these archetypes and evolves them without losing their essence. They still feel like Scooby, Shaggy, Velma, Daphne, and Fred, but older, rougher, and shaped by the end of the world. Now, you might think Scooby Apocalypse is just monsters and mayhem, but dig a little deeper, and the book touches on some surprisingly heavy themes. Animal cruelty is a big one. Scooby and the other smart dogs are products of experimentation, and through their story, the comic really makes you question the morality of how humans treat animals. That adds a layer of social commentary you don't expect from something with Scooby-Doo in the title. There are also themes of trust, paranoia, and survival. When society collapses, how do people react? Who do you trust? How much humanity do you hold on to? Each of the gang wrestle with those questions in their own way. And of course, there's a loss. Without spoiling too much, the series doesn't hold back from killing characters. Some of those deaths hit hard, and they show just how far DC was willing to push the Scooby franchise into darker territory. It's worth mentioning, Scooby Apocalypse wasn't the only Hanna-Barbera reimagining DC was publishing in the time. Around the same period, we got the Flintstones by Mark Russell, which was another bold take. While Scooby Apocalypse leaned into action, horror, and survival, the Flintstones went full on satire. It was witty, biting, and used the Stone Age setting to poke fun at the modern society. Honestly, the Flintstones got more critical acclaim. It was even called one of the best comics of its year, and it truly deserves all the praise. Because, damn, Flintstones was such a great read. There were also other attempts, like Future Quest, which pulled together a bunch of Hanna-Barbera adventure characters, and Wacky Raceland, which reimagined wacky races as the Mad Max-style Dead Race. But out of all of them, Scooby Apocalypse probably had the longest run and the most consistent audience. As I mentioned before, Jim Lee is credited as one of the creative forces behind Scooby Apocalypse. He designed the initial character concepts, giving them that modernized, edgy look. Now, Jim Lee didn't draw the book, but his influence is clear. The idea of Scooby-Doo characters in a gritty, apocalyptic settings has his fingerprints all over it. Love it or hate it, you can't deny it, he gave the book a unique identity right from the start. Now, let's talk art. Howard Porter was the main artist for much of the series, and his style fits the book's tone perfectly. His monsters are grotesque, detailed, and sometimes genuinely scary. You can feel the chaos of the apocalypse in his pages. That said, I'll be honest, Porter's art isn't for everybody. Sometimes it feels a bit too busy, and the character designs don't always land. Shaggy's hipster look, for example, is still divided among fans. Personally, I like it, but I get why some people weren't on board. But overall, the art delivers. It captures the sense of scale, danger, and weirdness that a story like this demands. And the colors, bright yet grim, really help sell the apocalyptic atmosphere. So, what works best about Scooby Apocalypse? For me, is the way it takes familiar characters and pushes them into the new territory without losing their soul. The relationships feel real, the stakes are high, and there's genuine emotion behind the story. But yeah, it's not perfect. Sometimes the pacing drags. 36 issues can feel a little stretched. Not every subtitles lands, and some of the humor doesn't quite mesh with the darker tone. And again, the art style, while strong overall, isn't universally loved. Still, when you weigh it all together, I would say the strengths far outweigh the weaknesses. At the end of the day, Scooby Apocalypse is more than just a weird experiment. It shows how flexible these classic characters really are. If Scooby-Doo can work in post-apocalyptic horror story, then maybe no character is ever too silly or lightweight for reinvention. So yeah, that's Scooby Apocalypse. 36 issues of monster fighting, character drama, and surprisingly heartfelt storytelling, all wrapped in one massive omnibus. For me, as someone who loved Scooby-Doo as a kid, this series was a blast. It's darker, it's weirder, but it still has the core of friendship and loyalty that makes Scooby-Doo what it is. Is it flawless? No. But it's bold, it is different, and it's a reminder that ever the most unlikely characters can be reimagined in ways that surprise you. The extra section is relatively a generous one, spanning almost 40 pages of bonus material. Inside, you will find a hefty selection of variant covers, plenty to feast your eyes on, as well as character sketches, design concepts, and behind the scenes looks at the visual creation process. Fans of bonus content will definitely not feel shortchanged here. And that's all. Scooby Apocalypse Omnibus is a fun and surprisingly dark ride. If you love Scooby Doo and if you grew up with those Saturday morning mysteries, it's a while to see those characters in such a different light. And if you are into horror, sci fi, and survival, it also have that all. So, if Scooby Apocalypse Omnibus gets your attention, you can order your own copy in our e-shop, comicsbugle.com, your friendly neighborhood comic book shop in Europe. Accept the great catalog of collected, deluxe, and absolute editions, epic collections, and omnibuses. We guarantee you eco-friendly Hulkproof packaging, free shipping in whole EU, an option to pre-order your comic book now and pay for it later. You can also split full price to 4 separate payments because we know how expensive these books can be. So check it out, comicsbugle.com. You can find direct links below this video. And that's all. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to smash the like and subscribe button so you don't miss out any further videos. In our comment section, let us know whether books or topics would you like to see in our videos. And see ya, Bugles!